Welcome to Daily Stoic Practice, your compass to navigate the complexities of modern life with ancient wisdom. Have you ever wondered what happens when you completely vanish from someone's life? Not just pulling back slightly, but truly disappearing. No texts, no calls, no contact whatsoever. In today's world, where constant communication is the norm and people often take others for granted, the act of walking away can be a powerful and transformative experience. When you disappear, it creates a ripple effect, forcing the other person to confront emotions they've likely buried beneath complacency or overconfidence. What they feel during your absence reveals not only their true thoughts about you, but also their own insecurities and emotional struggles. In this guide, we'll explore 9 intense emotional stages they go through when you vanish. Each stage offers a profound lesson in self-worth, boundaries, and personal growth. By the end, you'll understand why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away. Let's dive in. At first, the moment you disappear, the first emotion they experience is rejection. A sudden, piercing blow to their ego that leaves them reeling. It's not just unexpected, it's unimaginable. After all, they never thought you'd leave. Why would you? For so long they've taken your presence for granted. You were the constant, the one who cared, the one who made the plans, the one who held things together. To them, your availability seemed infinite, as though your patience and effort had no limits. Then, without warning, you're gone. It's like the ground beneath their feet has shifted, and they're left grappling with the unsettling reality of your absence. This isn't just a matter of physical separation. It's the abrupt loss of the emotional support, the validation, and the comfort you provided. You were their anchor, even if they never acknowledged it, and now they're adrift. The sting of rejection is deeper than they're likely to admit, even to themselves. It's not merely the absence of your presence, but the rupture of their sense of control. People often don't realize how much they depend on someone until that person is no longer there. Your disappearance strips away the safety net they didn't even realize they had. It's the first wake-up call, an unwelcome reminder of what they took for granted. For you, this is a pivotal moment. As a Stoic, the lesson here is to let your actions do the talking. There's no need for grand declarations or ultimatums, no need to explain or justify your departure. Simply walking away is enough. It speaks volumes, far more than any words could convey. It forces them to pause, to reflect, and to confront the truth of what they've lost. This act of disappearing isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. By stepping away, you create the opportunity for them to recognize, and perhaps for the first time, truly appreciate the value of what you brought into their life. And in doing so, you also take the first step toward prioritizing yourself and your own well-being. After the initial sting of rejection begins to settle, another emotion takes its place, a hollow, aching void. At first, it's subtle, a quiet discomfort they try to ignore. But over time, it grows into a gnawing emptiness that becomes impossible to overlook. They may have convinced themselves that your absence wouldn't matter. Perhaps they thought, I'll be fine without them. It's no big deal. But reality has a way of disproving even the most confident assumptions. This void isn't just about losing you as a person. It's about everything you brought into their life. The warmth of your presence, the emotional support you offered, and the energy you infused into every interaction are all suddenly missing. Days that once felt vibrant now seem dull and repetitive. The small but significant moments, the way you listened without judgment, your shared inside jokes, the quiet reassurance of your support are gone, leaving a palpable emptiness in their place. They might try to rationalize this feeling away. People often believe relationships are interchangeable, assuming they can simply replace one person with another. They might throw themselves into work, hobbies, or new relationships, hoping to distract themselves from what they've lost. But here's the truth. Relationships built on genuine connection aren't easily replaced. What you brought into their life was unique, and the void left behind serves as a constant reminder of that. As they go through their days, the absence of your presence becomes more pronounced. It's in the quiet moments when they'd usually reach out to you. or during those times when they need someone to confide in. It's when they laugh at something and instinctively want to share it with you, only to realize you're no longer there. These moments of realization pile up, and the void becomes a weight they carry with them. For you, this stage is a powerful affirmation of your worth. By stepping away, you've highlighted the difference between mere presence and true connection. You've shown the value of being fully seen, heard, and appreciated, something they perhaps only now understand. In the philosophy of Stoicism, detachment isn't about cutting people off out of spite. It's about prioritizing what aligns with your values and well-being. Your decision to walk away underscores the importance of being valued, not taken for granted. The void they feel is a reflection of the light you brought into their life, a reminder of the unique contribution you made simply by being yourself. While they sit with the discomfort of this emptiness, you have an opportunity to reflect as well. The void isn't just a space they must contend with. It's a space you've created for yourself to grow, heal, and focus on your own journey. In this silence, both of you are given the chance to see things more clearly. The true nature of the relationship, the dynamics at play, and the immense value of authentic connection. As the void of your absence deepens, another emotion begins to take hold: curiosity. It starts as a quiet question in their mind, but soon it grows louder and more persistent. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? The unknown becomes unbearable, and they can't help but fixate on the mystery of your silence. In today's hyper-connected world, where social media offers constant updates on nearly everyone's life, your disappearance is an anomaly. They'll find themselves scrolling through your old posts, rereading conversations, and piecing together the fragments of memories to try and figure out what you're up to now. They may even go as far as reaching out to mutual friends, subtly, or not so subtly, fishing for information about you. But no matter where they look, they find nothing, just silence. This silence is what makes their curiosity overwhelming. By refusing to leave breadcrumbs or hints about your life, you create an enigma they can't unravel. Human beings are naturally drawn to the unknown. It's in our nature to seek answers to questions we can't resolve. Your absence isn't just puzzling, it's maddening. They begin to imagine scenarios. Are you happier now? Have you moved on? Are you with someone else? Each possibility fuels their insecurity, making them obsess over the answers they can't find. From a Stoic perspective, this stage underscores the power of restraint. Silence is not just the absence of communication. It's an active tool that shifts the balance of power. When you stay quiet, you maintain control. You're no longer reacting to their presence or absence. You're living on your own terms. The mystery of your life becomes their fixation, not because you're trying to provoke a reaction, but because you've stepped away with dignity and purpose. This silence isn't about manipulation. It's about creating space. The less they know about your life, the more they're forced to confront the reality of their loss. Their imagination fills the gaps, often painting a picture of you thriving, happier, more confident, and completely unbothered by their absence. Whether or not that's the case, the image is powerful because it challenges their previous assumptions about your availability. Meanwhile, for you, this stage is an opportunity to grow. While they're consumed by curiosity, you have the chance to reflect on your own priorities and goals. Silence isn't just a tool for them to grapple with. It's also a gift you give yourself, a moment of stillness to focus on your own needs and well-being. The more they wonder about you, the more they begin to realize what they've lost. Your silence speaks volumes, not through noise or confrontation, but through its unwavering presence. It's a quiet, yet profound, reminder of the value you bring simply by being you. And as their curiosity grows, so does their understanding of the void you've left behind. Once curiosity has run its course and they realize there are no answers to be found outside themselves, they are left with only one place to turn: inward. This is when the stage of deep self-reflection begins, and for them, it's often the most uncomfortable part of the journey. With no distractions to shield them, they're forced to confront the hard questions. Was I too distant? Did I take them for granted? Could I have done something differently? The beauty of this stage lies in its solitude. You're no longer present to offer explanations, arguments, or reassurances. There's no opportunity for them to shift the blame onto you or avoid the weight of their own actions. Instead, they're left alone with their thoughts, replaying every dismissive comment, every ignored text, and every moment when they failed to prioritize you. These memories, once inconsequential to them, now loom large, creating a narrative they can't escape. This process is rarely linear. At first, they might resist, rationalizing their actions or finding excuses to minimize their role in the breakdown of the relationship. But as time passes, denial gives way to an undeniable truth. Their behavior had consequences, and now they're living with the aftermath. From a Stoic perspective, this stage is a testament to the power of detachment. By walking away, you've created a vacuum in which they must confront their own shortcomings. This self-reflection isn't something you can or should force. True growth, as the Stoics teach, comes from within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In this case, their growth depends on their willingness to take responsibility for their actions and learn from them. For you, this stage is a moment of liberation. It's a reminder that their journey of self-awareness is not your burden to bear. By stepping away, you've freed yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to make them see your perspective or appreciate your worth. Their self-reflection is theirs alone to navigate, and in many ways, it's a gift you've given them, an opportunity to grow and evolve, even if that growth no longer includes you. While they grapple with their thoughts, you can focus on your own growth. This is your time to reflect on what you've learned from the experience, to identify the patterns you want to avoid, and to set boundaries that align with your values. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. Just as they are confronting their judgments, you too can use this time to align your actions with your inner peace. Their self-reflection may eventually lead them to seek closure or redemption. They may even reach out, hoping to mend what was broken. But remember, their growth is not your responsibility, and their journey is not yours to direct. The power of this stage lies in the silence you've created and the space you've reclaimed. While they wrestle with their regrets, you are free to move forward, stronger and wiser than before. After a period of uncomfortable self-reflection, a shift occurs. Guilt and regret transform into action, and they are no longer content to sit idly with their thoughts. The urge to pursue you becomes overwhelming, fueled by the realization of what they've lost. Suddenly, the person who once treated you as an option now sees you as a priority they cannot ignore. This shift is driven by a deep-seated fear of permanence, the fear that you might never return. Their mind begins racing with questions. What if I've lost them for good? What if it's too late? These thoughts ignite a desperate desire to bridge the distance, to repair the damage, and to reestablish the connection they once took for granted. They'll reach out in every way they know how. Text messages, comments on your social media, or even unannounced visits. All attempts to regain your attention. At first, these gestures may seem sincere, even flattering, but it's important to recognize what's truly happening. Their pursuit is not just about reconnecting. It's about regaining control. The power dynamics have shifted, and they are no longer in the position of comfort they once occupied. They are chasing you now, seeking to restore the balance they once took for granted. For you, this is a pivotal moment, perhaps the most significant one in this entire journey. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the time to exercise that strength. Resist the temptation to respond out of nostalgia, guilt, or a fleeting sense of validation. It's natural to feel drawn to the idea of being pursued, especially by someone who once undervalued you, but this is where your Stoic resolve must take center stage. Consider their actions carefully. Are they truly acting out of a desire to make amends, or are they simply reacting to their own discomfort? Is their pursuit grounded in genuine growth and understanding, or is it driven by fear and desperation? These are critical questions that require introspection on your part. If their efforts align with your values, If they demonstrate real accountability and a willingness to change, then proceeding cautiously might be an option. However, if their pursuit feels hollow, or if it's clear they haven't truly understood the lessons of your absence, then the best course of action may be to continue your journey forward without them. Remember, the power lies with you now. Their pursuit is a reflection of the boundaries you've set and the self-worth you've reclaimed. Let it serve as a reminder of how far you've come, not just in their eyes, but in your own. The urge to pursue you may mark a turning point for them, but it doesn't have to define yours. Whether you choose to engage or remain detached, let your response be guided by reason, not emotion. True strength lies in staying aligned with your principles, even when the temptation to revert to old patterns feels strong. You've come this far. Don't let the urgency of their pursuit pull you away from the clarity and growth you've worked so hard to achieve. When you first disappear, their initial reaction might surprise you. Instead of immediate sadness or panic, they may experience a fleeting sense of relief. They convince themselves that your absence is a newfound freedom. Without the complexities of the relationship, they tell themselves, life will be simpler, lighter, and easier to navigate. It's a story they cling to, a way to rationalize their loss while avoiding the deeper emotions brewing beneath the surface. At first, this relief feels real. They dive into distractions, social outings, work, hobbies, or scrolling endlessly through their phone, anything to reinforce the illusion that they're better off. They might even broadcast their supposed liberation on social media, sharing cheerful posts or pictures designed to project confidence and independence. But as with any facade, cracks begin to show. This superficial relief is fleeting, and its temporary nature becomes glaringly evident in moments of stillness. Late at night, when the distractions fade and the noise subsides, regret creeps in. The quiet solitude forces them to confront the emptiness that has replaced the connection you once provided. They realize that the freedom they thought they wanted feels hollow without the depth, meaning, and emotional stability you brought into their life. This regret often manifests subtly at first. A pang of longing during a familiar song, a memory sparked by a shared experience, or an instinct to reach out to you before remembering that they can't. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a heavy weight of realization. The freedom they sought came at the cost of losing something far more valuable. For you, this stage is an important reminder of boundaries and self-worth. It can be tempting to feel a pull to fill the void they now experience, to comfort them or remind them of the connection they once dismissed. But as the Stoics teach, their discomfort is not your responsibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is in your power to withdraw into yourself whenever you desire." Perfect tranquility within consists in the good ordering of the mind. This is your moment to maintain that tranquility, to focus on your own journey rather than their regret. Let them sit with their discomfort. The void they feel is a natural consequence of their actions, a lesson they need to internalize without interference. It's not your role to soothe their regret or validate their emotions. By allowing them to fully experience the emptiness, you give them the space to truly understand the depth of what they've lost. As they grapple with this battle between relief and regret, you have the opportunity to deepen your own sense of clarity and independence. Their journey is theirs to navigate, and your absence is not a punishment, it's a statement of self-respect. While they wrestle with their realization, you are free to continue moving forward, untethered and aligned with your values. When regret begins to sink in, desperation often follows close behind. This is the stage where they may attempt to reclaim control over the situation, and their methods can be as subtle as they are calculated. Rather than openly addressing their feelings, they might resort to manipulation, posting cryptic social media updates, flaunting new relationships, or making dramatic gestures designed to provoke a reaction from you. It's not about resolving the situation, it's about regaining the upper hand. They want to elicit a response from you, whether it's curiosity, jealousy, or anger. Perhaps they post photos with someone new, hoping to plant a seed of doubt in your mind. Or they might share vague quotes and statuses implying personal growth or newfound happiness, all carefully curated to to make you wonder what they're feeling and whether they've moved on. These games are rooted in insecurity, a desperate bid to reassert control over the dynamic that has shifted so dramatically since your departure. But as a Stoic, you've grown beyond this. You recognize these attempts for what they are: distractions and noise. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Their behavior, while intended to unsettle you, is a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a reflection of your worth or decisions. Engaging in their game, even slightly, only validates their efforts and shifts the power back to them. A response, whether out of curiosity or frustration, feeds their narrative, giving them the satisfaction of knowing they still occupy your thoughts. But silence, on the other hand, is a declaration of strength. By refusing to react, you maintain control of your emotions and reaffirm your independence. Remaining detached doesn't mean you're dismissive. It means you've prioritized your peace over the chaos they're attempting to create. Their tactics are designed to pull you back into the cycle of validation and control, but you've chosen a different path, one grounded in self-respect and clarity. While they escalate their efforts to provoke you, your composure sends a louder message than any words ever could. By staying calm and centered, you reinforce that their attempts to manipulate your emotions are futile. You've outgrown the need to engage in petty games, and in doing so, you reclaim the power they're so desperate to wield. This stage is a reminder that not every action requires a reaction. Your silence speaks volumes, signaling that you're focused on your own journey rather than their distractions. Their desire to play the game may intensify, but your refusal to participate ensures that their efforts lose their sting. In time, they'll realize that their tactics have no effect, and that realization will be far more powerful than any confrontation. The Stoic path is one of detachment and inner strength. By refusing to engage, you maintain your emotional maturity and continue moving forward, free from the cycles of manipulation and control. Their games belong to them. Your peace belongs to you. Silence carries a weight far heavier than words. In the age of constant communication, where instant replies and notifications dominate our interactions, your lack of response becomes a void they can't ignore. Every unreturned call, every ignored text, every unanswered question amplifies their anxiety and deepens their discomfort. Your silence doesn't just speak, it shouts, forcing them to confront the reality of what they've lost and the consequences of their actions. At first, they may rationalize your silence. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they just need some time. But as the hours turn into days and the days stretch into weeks, the truth becomes unavoidable. You're not there, and you're not coming back. This realization lands like a thunderclap, cutting through the rationalizations they've been clinging to. The space once filled by your words, your attention, and your energy is now an echo chamber where their own thoughts and regrets grow louder and more persistent. In a world where we've come to expect immediate gratification, silence is an anomaly. It creates a tension they're unprepared to handle. They're used to the rhythm of back-and-forth exchanges, even in conflict, but now they're left alone in the quiet. Without your presence to anchor their narrative, they're forced to sit with their own discomfort, to reflect on the actions and choices that led to this point. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This silence isn't about punishing them or seeking revenge. It's about creating space for yourself, prioritizing your own peace, and allowing them to process their emotions independently. Silence is a boundary, a statement that says, I will not carry the weight of your actions for you. For them, the crushing weight of your absence becomes a mirror, reflecting their behavior back at them with stark clarity. Every moment they spent dismissing you, every time they took you for granted, now takes on a new significance. In the stillness, there's no one to deflect blame onto, no one to justify their actions to. They must confront their own role in the relationship's unraveling, and that's an experience far more powerful than anything you could say. For you, silence is an act of self-preservation. It's not about winning or losing, it's about protecting your energy and maintaining your emotional well-being. By stepping away, You've chosen to focus on yourself rather than getting caught in the endless loop of explanations and justifications. This quiet isn't empty. It's full of purpose, allowing you to heal and grow without interference. As they sit with the weight of your silence, they begin to understand its significance. Words can be dismissed, argued against, or misinterpreted, but silence leaves no room for debate. It's a void that demands reflection and forces them to feel the full gravity of their loss. The crushing weight of silence is transformative, both for them and for you. For them, it's a reckoning, a moment of profound discomfort that may lead to growth, or at least recognition of what they've lost. For you, it's a declaration of your worth, a decision to prioritize your peace above all else. In the end, the silence speaks louder than anything you could say, leaving both of you to confront the truth in your own time and your own way. Fear, the most primal of emotions, becomes their final stage of reckoning. It starts as a quiet worry, nagging questions they can't shake. What if I've lost them for good? What if they've moved on? Slowly, it morphs into an all-consuming panic, gripping them in a way that overpowers even their pride and ego. The fear of losing you forever becomes unbearable, leaving them desperate to regain what they've let slip away. This fear drives them to take actions they once thought beneath them. Suddenly, the walls they built to protect their image crumble. They'll reach out with heartfelt apologies, messages laced with vulnerability and regret, or even grand gestures they believe might rekindle what's been lost. They might send long, emotional texts late at night, show up unannounced, or plead for one more chance. Their fear pushes them to cast aside the indifference they once displayed and admit just how much your absence has shaken them. For them, this stage is both humbling and terrifying. They've spent so much time convincing themselves that your departure was temporary, that they had control, that you'd eventually come back. But as time goes on and your silence remains unbroken, they're forced to confront the truth. You've moved forward, and they're now the one left behind. But here's the crucial part. By this stage, you've grown. You're no longer the person who waited for their validation, who sought their approval, or who accepted being an option. You've reclaimed your independence, rediscovered your worth, and aligned your life with your own values. Their fear, while powerful for them, no longer holds sway over you. This moment is a test of your growth. It's easy to feel tempted by their newfound vulnerability or to be drawn back by nostalgia. After all, seeing someone who once took you for granted, now begging for a second chance, can feel validating. But as a Stoic, you've learned to act with reason rather than emotion. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This is your time to reflect deeply. Does their return align with the life you've built in their absence? Are they seeking reconciliation for the right reasons, or are they acting out of desperation and fear? Their crawling back is not a signal for you to abandon the progress you've made. Instead, it's an opportunity to reaffirm your boundaries and remind yourself of how far you've come. You've moved beyond the need for their approval. Their actions now serve only as a reflection of their own growth, or lack thereof. Fear, as painful as it is for them, often stems from their realization that they took you for granted. It's a recognition that they lost something rare and valuable. But the most important lesson lies not in their fear, but in your ability to stand firm in the face of it. Whether you choose to let them back into your life or continue on your path without them, let your decision come from a place of clarity, self-respect, and wisdom. Their fear may have brought them crawling back, but your strength is what keeps you moving forward. You've built a life grounded in independence, and no amount of desperation can pull you away from the peace you've found within yourself. The power now lies in your hands, not theirs, and with it, the ability to choose a future that honors your growth, not their regret. This is the moment where everything falls into place, the culmination of your journey. Walking away was never just about leaving them behind. It was about finding your way back to yourself. Through the silence, the distance, and the detachment, you've reclaimed something far greater than a relationship. You've rediscovered your own strength and autonomy. You've embraced emotional independence, a state where your happiness no longer hinges on the approval, affection, or presence of anyone else. At the heart of this realization lies a profound Stoic truth. True strength comes from within. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By stepping away, you've turned inward and focused on what truly matters, your own growth, peace, and well-being. In doing so, you've not only transformed how they see you, but more importantly, how you see yourself. In the past, you may have sought validation from others, bending to meet their expectations or prioritizing their needs over your own. But now, you've broken free from that cycle. You've realized that your worth isn't defined by how others perceive you or by how much you give to someone else. Instead, it's rooted in your ability to honor your own values, set boundaries, and cultivate a sense of inner fulfillment. This newfound independence is powerful, and others can sense it. They see a version of you that is confident, self-assured, and untethered from the need for external validation. It's not about arrogance or indifference. It's about radiating a quiet strength that says, I know my worth, and I choose to prioritize it. For them, this shift is both humbling and unsettling. They might recognize that they no longer have the influence over you they once did, and that realization can be difficult for them to accept. But this is not your burden to carry. Their response to your growth is their responsibility, not yours. Your focus is on continuing to nurture the independence you've worked so hard to achieve. Emotional independence doesn't mean closing yourself off to connection or vulnerability. On the contrary, it means entering relationships from a place of wholeness, where you're no longer seeking someone to complete you, but instead choosing to share your completeness with others. It means loving freely, without fear of losing yourself in the process. By choosing yourself, you've unlocked a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This isn't just a change in how you approach relationships, it's a transformation in how you navigate life itself. You've let go of the need to control how others perceive you and embrace the freedom that comes with living authentically. As you stand at this point of self-discovery, you realize that walking away was never about them. It was always about you, about stepping into your power, reclaiming your narrative, and understanding that you are enough just as you are. You've shed the weight of external expectations and stepped into a life defined by your own terms. This is the most powerful version of you, grounded, self-aware, and free. Free to choose relationships that uplift you, free to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values, and free to continue growing, evolving, and thriving. Independent, yet open to the possibilities of love and connection, all while remaining true to yourself. Disappearing isn't an act of revenge, it's an act of self-respect. It forces others to confront their actions while giving you the space to grow. As the Stoics teach, we must always act in alignment with our values, prioritizing peace and integrity over ego. When you walk away, you reclaim your power, rediscover your worth, and show the world that you're no longer an option. You're a choice. If this resonates with you, please like and subscribe to Daily Stoic Practice and share your insights in the comments. Your thoughts may inspire others on their own journeys to inner peace and resilience. Don't miss our daily videos, insightful discussions, and practical tips for applying Stoic principles to your modern life.